Hello, welcome to Should I Buy This Game? My name is Christine, and in this video I am showing you some more games that I am culling. Now, I recently posted a video on 3 steps of how to cull your games. And back in January, I posted a video of, I think it was 33 games I culled, and those are all from step 1 of how to cull your games. So now I'm about to show you the games I culled after step 2. And in step 2, these were games that I either hadn't played or we hadn't played in a while and I just wasn't sure of. And so we had taken them off the shelf to give them a second look to see, are we going to keep them or cull them? And so those are the games I'm going to show you now, the ones we ended up culling after step 2 of culling our board games. So I'm starting with some of my smaller games. So this one here, Kitten, this is a cute little stacking game. You're given a photo and it's who can stack it the quickest. But it's best played with a lot of people to have the most fun with the game. We've played it a few times, but it's just not a game we go to. But it's really cute with all the little cats that you stack. Then we have Root Riverfolk Friendlies Pack. And Gemma had picked this up for me because we had rented Root and we had plans to buy Root, but then the more we played games, we realized that Root probably wasn't a game for us because it's like a war game and I don't really enjoy them. And so we never bought Root. So I have this Root little package to move on. Cat Stacks is like a puzzly cat game, which is really cute. You have pieces and you put it in. And in theory, it's a game I should play, but it ended up just in my drawer and I never got around to playing it. And I've had this game for a couple of years now, and so I've decided I should just move it on, even though it is a game I would enjoy. This one here, Control. It's a little game that I never really, it looked really cool and I loved the art, but I never got around to playing it. And when I looked at it again and the instructions, I just didn't have the energy in me to actually play it or the interest. Tinder Blocks is a fun game. Again, you're stacking, you get a card and you have to stack it up to build this fire. And we played it, but it's just, again, not a game that we would normally pull out and play. Then I have a bunch of Oink games. So Scout and Deep Sea Adventure. I know they're 2 really great games, but we actually never played them. And I looked at the instructions again. And again, along with some of these other ones, I just didn't have enough interest to pull it out and play. Rafter 5 is more of a party game. You're having these guys and you're putting out pieces and balancing them on the pieces. And we've played it a few times and it's sort of fun, but being a party game, we don't play a lot of party games. So when we're here, just the 2 or 3 of us, it's not a game we would play. Quickety Pickety and 9 Tiles Extreme, although they're different, they are both speed games. And I'm not a huge fan of speed games. I find whenever I'm under the gun, I have to do something quick. I just freeze and I don't do well. And so I've decided that these are games, again, they're more like a party game, and I'm going to just move on with these games. So the next 3 are all card-based games. So first we have District Noir, and we played this a couple times to give it a try, and it's sort of a set collection game, but then if somebody collects 2 pieces of like the city or something, they automatically win. There just wasn't enough dynamic to it to keep our interest. Stellar, I really like the theme with the space, and I really like the art, but I never played the game. And NAR we played when we first got it way back, and it was sort of interesting with having the bonuses to get different cards and stuff, but it wasn't a game that I really went back, and I never even played it with Gemma, so we never really went back to it. And so when we have so many games to play, some of these games may be good games and you might really enjoy them. I know NAR is very popular, or is it Canar? Some people say Canar, NAR. But if it's not a game we pull out, that's just what it is. It's not that it's a bad game. It's just not a game we personally pull out to play. So next we have Confusing Lands, and I recently showed this in a video, and it's a 1 or 2 player game, and you're just trying to collect cards to gain points. And it was okay, but again, just not a game I'm going to pull out to play often. Turnip is a trick-taking game. We have even opened this one, but I already know that we're not a big fan of trick-taking games, so I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to keep it packaged so whoever gets it knows it's in perfect condition. And then the Sherlock Files. As I mentioned in the culling video, we played one of them. It's a card-based detective game, but we weren't a huge fan. We would rather play a game like Chronologic. Here we have Mantis, and as I had mentioned in the culling video, this was one of the first card games we got, and it's cute and fun, but it's a quick 10-minute game, better played with a lot of people. And when we're just playing with 2 or 3 people, again, if we're playing a game, we want the game to be a bit longer. I find some of these 10-minute games just don't hold our interest. The Campy Creatures, again, it has really fun artwork. I sort of like the style in that. But the game itself wasn't one we would pull out. And similar goes with Space Park. We did play this a couple times, and again, I really love the artwork of this and the colors they used in that. But the gameplay itself just wasn't very dynamic and didn't interest us enough to continue to play the game. And the last game from step 2 of culling my games is Horrified: World of Monsters. And I opened this and looked at it and realized I'm not sure why I bought it. I bought it because I heard so many people love Horrified games. But this is a cooperative game and there's monsters, and there's 2 things I don't enjoy. So I'm not exactly sure. I was influenced so much by other people saying how much they loved it that I bought it to realize the theming and the type of play is not what I enjoy. So even though I opened it, we never actually played it because I was like, no, this isn't the type of game we personally enjoy playing. And those are the games from step 2 of culling. So now it is time to show you the games I culled after step 3. Now step 3 is the hardest step because these are the games that you actually do like, but you have to question, why am I keeping this game? Why is it taking up space? Do I really want to keep it? So a lot of these games are really great games. I just chose, because I live in a small space, I do need to cull games. And so here are the games that I culled after step 3 of culling all my board games. So in this section of games, there are only 3 small box games. And the first one is Things and Rings. I actually ended up getting this as an add-on to something I had backed on Kickstarter. And it is more of a party game. And so, as you know, we don't really play party games, so we are moving it on. Couture. Now, I have a background in fashion design, so whenever there's a game about fashion, I'm always interested in it. The big drawback to this one, though, it is a 3 to 6 player game. And when we're playing 3 players, this isn't the type of small box game we'd want to play. We'd want to play a larger game at 3 players. So we're just not getting this to the table very often. And then the last one is Nemalia. And although this was a 2 to 4 player game, I actually would play this game solo. I sort of like the mechanics of it, but I never played it in 2 to 4 players, and now I have other solo games that I would prefer to play, so I've decided I would cull this game. Next we have the art project, and I really like the art of this game and the concept of this game where you're trying to recover stolen art. I like that there was like a little minivan, and then they had like gun and walkie-talkie tokens that you could share amongst yourselves. But the big thing is this is a cooperative game. And as I've learned, I am not a big fan of cooperative games. And when I played it solo, I felt it was a game you really wanted to play with more people. And so therefore I am moving on with the art project. And then we have Wingspan Asia. And we got this almost a couple of years ago after playing Wingspan. We really enjoyed it and wanted something more to the game. And so I got Asia because there's a 1 to 2 player duet mode, stand-alone game in it to give more gameplay. But when it came down to it, it didn't really add to the game, and I decided that Wingspan by itself was enough, and I didn't need the extra game in the game. And although having extra bird cards are nice, I do have the art pack to add new birds into the base game. Look at the Stars is a flip and write game where you are drawing constellations onto your board. And I really like this game as well, but when it came down to it, we only play a few flip and write, roll and write games, and this one just wasn't coming out as often. And then Cities. This is a really great fun game, but in our opinion, it's best played with 4 players. When you're playing with 2 players or less, or 3 players, you're not getting the full game. You're only getting like half the game. And this game was designed really, in our opinion, to play with 4 players. And we just never have 4 players that play games. So Nocturne and Undergrove, these two were really hard for me. And that's why I said at step 3, you have to dig deep. I really like these games. I think they're great games. I even have this one signed. But when it came down to it with Nocturne, it's tiles and you're collecting it. And we played it when we got it to play it, but we never went back to it. And if it's a game that isn't on your mind that, oh, let's go play that again, even though it's great and I love the art and it's beautiful, if we don't go back to it, I need to move it out because I know I have more games arriving and I need to make space. And same with Undergrove. This game, I enjoyed it. The first few plays of it were sort of like brain freezing, but I finally figured it out and understood it. But at that point, Gemma was like, she didn't want to play it anymore. And so therefore, if I don't have somebody to play with, then it's not worth keeping around. But these two, as I said, this is really hard. Like, these are great games. They just weren't being played enough for me to keep them in my collection. Next we have Agueda or Agda and I Heart Manatees, and these both fall into the light strategy. And so for us, like Agueda, I love the little umbrellas and I love like sort of the concept of the game and how to play it. But the light strategy games, we just don't play as much. And same with I Heart Manatees. This is a really fun, cute game, but I just think it's better for a younger age. More maybe a family game versus when Gem and I play as 2 adults. There just wasn't enough strategy to the game. Here we have Flower Fields, and this is a tile placement game. And so I've kept Pack the Essentials, I kept Over Parked, and they're similar enough that I didn't really need to keep Flower Fields. And then Arborea, this is a really sort of big, colorful, bright game, and I love the art and the concept. And I actually have only played this solo, but just the thought of having to teach it to somebody at this point, I just wasn't interested in, and I never pulled it out in the couple of years I've had it to teach it, so I decided it was time to move it along. And here we have Mycelia, and I had featured this on the show, but this is really a very abstract game with little pieces doing this and that. And although we figured it out and got it, it's just not a game we want to revisit necessarily that often. And the Fox Experiment was a really cool concept. I loved the interaction and like reproducing the foxes. However, you really need 3 to 4 players to play this properly. And again, it's just not a player count we get to very often. Then we have Garden Guests. And the thing with this game, I really love the art, the paper cuts, and the idea it's sort of like beating your opponent across the board. But this game stresses me out. Like, will I get that card? Will I cross it before the next person? And when I'm playing a game, I don't really need to be that stressed. And then I thought maybe Mark and Gemma would enjoy playing it with each other, but the 2 of them never play games without me. So I've decided I will move on Garden Guests because I just don't need to be that stressed when I'm playing a game. It's very stressful. And then Museum Pictura, this is you're building a gallery of paintings. And I really love art, so I love the concept of all the paintings in it and having your little side things and that. But we just never pulled it out. And I do have Art Society that gives you a similar feel with a different gameplay, and we kept that one instead. This is First Rat, and I actually really enjoyed this game. I think it's super cute. You're trying to get to the moon of cheese. However, this game really needs to be played with 4 or 5 players. Even at 3 players, there's so much openness and areas not discovered that this game is designed for that larger player count. And then the Isle of Cats. I love the Isle of Cats, but with the Isle of Cats Duo coming out, we decided we would keep the smaller game because it gave us the feeling of the gameplay that we like of the game, and we didn't need to keep the really big one. And so we've decided that the Isle of Cats is going to be culled. Now we have Stardew Valley. And playing the board game actually made me interested in playing the video game, and I played it on my phone. And the Stardew Valley board game, the board and everything is almost identical to the video game, the setup, what you do, all the people involved, and it's really cute. The downside comes that it is a cooperative game. And basically, if you're doing mining, one person, all they're going to do the whole game is go mining. And when it comes down to it, I'm just not a fan of cooperative games. So it's really cute, loved it, great game, but we just don't play it because we don't really play cooperative games. And then we have Intarsia, and I really wanted to like this game. I love all the pieces to the game. I like the concept of the game, except the downfall for me was there just wasn't anything that changed the game from play to play. You're doing the exact same thing with the exact same cards, trying to get the exact same rewards. And so once you sort of figure out your concept, you could just play the same game over and over again. And to some people, they love that. For me, I really like it when games change something up so each game gives you new challenges to look forward to. And so that was the downside of Intarsia for me. And the last game is Isla and Something Shiny. And I got this when it came out. When I looked inside it, it said November 2023, and I played it at that point. And it's really cute. It's a story-driven adventure game about this bunny going off on an adventure. And there's lots of challenges along the way to keep you interested. And so it's a great game. However, I never went back to play it again. I had played it once, and I was happy with that, and then sort of just kept it as a decoration on my shelf. So I thought it was time to get rid of the decoration and move it on to somebody else who will enjoy playing Isla and Something Shiny. So those are all the games that I have culled after culling my big game collection. And I'd like to know which games of these would you've kept, which ones would you've culled, and what you think of some of my choices.